Oh, I can cook too. On top of the rest, my seafood's the best in town.
Yes, I can cook too. My fish can't be beat, my sugar swiss around.
Oh, I'm a gal's ideal of a perfect meal, right down to the demi-tasse.
I'm a pot of joy for a hungry boy, baby. I'm cooking with gas.
Oh, I'm a gumdrop, a sweet lollipop, a brook right out of the brook.
And what's more, baby, I can cook. What's cooking, Park Ridge? Oh yeah!
Hello, my name is Trevor Dublin. I'm the host of What's Cooking Park Ridge. This is our 11th episode, and we're so excited to be right here in Park Ridge with our owner, Tommy Greco of Pop Empanadas. Now, on his Instagram page, he says that he cooks empanadas daily with love. So we're gonna find out what those ingredients are for the love. And we're so excited to be here because he's gonna talk about a variety of empanadas. He's also going to speak and introduce to us his co-partner here, Christian Tano, who he's known since you guys were in kindergarten, right?
Since we were 5 years old.
5 years old.
We met on the first day, yeah.
So this is really going to be a really exciting show because we're going to talk about, food from obviously Chile. We're going to talk about New York, his restaurants in New York City that has a South American flair. He cooks steaks as well. So, but we're going to concentrate mostly today, on empanadas and also Cuban sandwiches. So I heard that actually it's the best in the area.
I mean, I think so. I'm a little biased.
We'll get a little taste today.
Yeah. So Pop Empanada came out of COVID, like a lot of things. We have a restaurant in Manhattan called Querico South American Steakhouse, which I'm partners, as you mentioned, with my lifelong friend, Christian Tano, which we met on the first day of kindergarten at Eastbrook, right here in Park Ridge.
Wow.
So we started Querico Steakhouse back in 2015. And when the pandemic hit, like everywhere else, everything shut down. And, we're fine dining and steaks, so it was very difficult to be able to do delivery and takeout of porterhouses and tomahawks and have them deliver properly. So Chris and I have flirted in the past of doing some sort of fast casual or, something, another concept. And we came up with, Pop Empanada almost as like pop-up, pop art, which we're both a fan of. Mm-hmm. And we created it, and it's technically a ghost kitchen is the term.
Wow.
So we used our restaurant, Querico, which is located in Manhattan at 772 9th Avenue in the heart of the theater district. So we created this Pop Empanada, and Seamless, Grubhub, Uber Eats, Postmate, DoorDash, we had all the apps. So it virtually existed throughout the apps.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we put a little sign in the window that said Pop Empanada, so the drivers knew where to come. And that's where we introduced our menu that we mostly took, that we have here, is the different empanadas, Cuban Sandwich, the pollo frito, which is a chicken sandwich, and we also introduced our salads that we have from the restaurant. Mm-hmm. And that's how we bridge the gap from closure to reopening in New York City to keep our restaurant alive.
Just to survive.
Yeah. I mean, people were doing everything, selling drinks out the windows. And, as I was explaining to you before, one of the first things that Chris and I did was that we took all of our inventory that was in our dry aging facility, in our meat locker, and we advertised to all of our customers that live locally that we were selling our cuts uncooked, almost like a butcher shop. Mm-hmm. So that was one of our first priorities, because we have so much invested in that meat locker, was let's turn that meat to usable cash, mm-hmm. and then bridge into the ghost kitchen idea. So it worked, thank God.
Right.
We're still open today, and we're rocking and rolling. But not planned during COVID. I have a young son, Rocco, who's now 9, was 7 at the time, and my wife Pia was pregnant with our second child during that time. And Chris has his son Nico, and his wife was pregnant with his second child, Paloma, at the time. The city and the borough started to become, let's just say, not friendly, family friendly. There was a lot of violence.
People were moving out of the city.
Yes,
there was just a lot going on during that time.
The restrictions were very hard.
Right.
So at that time, we were very fortunate. My mother stayed at her home in Florida. She snowbirds back and forth. And she allowed us the opportunity to go stay in her house while this blows over.
2 years later, right?
Yeah, 2 years later. Simultaneously at the same time, Chris was given the opportunity to purchase the house that he actually grew up in back in Park Ridge.
Wow.
So for a brief time, we were both in Park Ridge, both in our childhood houses down the road from each other. It was really
meant
cool.
to be.
It was definitely meant to be.
Definitely meant to be.
So while we were, sitting there at one of our houses, like having a glass of wine, thinking about, where is this pandemic going? What are we going to do? What's the future of New York City? We started coming up with the idea of doing this, taking that concept of what we were doing at the Ghost Kitchen and bringing here into this area. And along with my wife, Pia, in the past, we've always discussed about doing an empanada place. Her dad actually in Chile owns several empanada places in the north of Chile and Calama.
That's where the connection is.
So
you don't have a culinary background, right?
So
you
no,
came
I don't have a color. I came from the finance. That's what I got my degree in, is economics and finance. And I worked, in that area for a bunch of years in the beginning. I literally got out of finance around the pop of the internet bubble in September 11th. Okay. Right in there is when I went fully back into hospitality. I always was in hospitality. I bartended and waited tables and cooked my way through college.
Brilliant.
So that we went back, because it's even now. Chris also was in finance. He was in international money transferring with companies like Western Union and MoneyGram, and the two of us, have a love for the culinary arts and obviously food and beverage. But it was a great partnership because my wife is from Chile. And, I was exposed to all of that. Chris's wife is from Peru. So, he's not only exposed to all that culture through her, but he's also traveled, and I'm sure when he comes on, he'll tell you, 30 or 40 different countries.
Yeah, he was telling me.
Yeah, so his influence and his, let's say, studies in the Latin culture and all different stuff from Spain and Italy helped, come up with a lot of the ideas we're doing.
Awesome.
And then our anchor, my mother-in-law.
There you go.
So she's been a cook her whole life. And
so she's the secret sauce, maybe,
she
right?
is beyond the secret sauce. But what she brings to the table is true traditional authenticity.
Yeah. Which she's got that experience from Chile with your father-in-law, obviously cooking in this restaurants and, making excellent, outcomes.
What I enjoy is when we actually have people come from Argentina or Chile or Peru, and they come here and they're like, how is this place in northern Jersey, Bergen County, going to be traditional? And they taste the food, and not only do they say they love it, but the best compliment is seeing them come back the next day. So that's how we talked about it, getting all the way back to that. We spoke about it, also with our wives, and we kept formulating this and writing things down. And then I was out driving around and I found this location.
Nice.
And I just couldn't believe that somebody didn't pick it up right here in Depot Square, the train station. I thought it would be a perfect fit. And
well, it's an ideal place because, you know, you're coming off the train, you know, hey, pop empanadas, I'm hungry, you know, I'm going across. But it's really an essentially located place. 7 Hawthorne Avenue, right?
7 Hawthorne Avenue.
Park Ridge.
Right next to Cycle Sport, which has been there since the 60s. Yes. And we, even though Chris and I are huge pizza fanatic fans, we just wanted to bring a non-pizza option. And that's, you know, that's kind of how we ended up here with, you know, the whole concept. And then the interior space we used to dedicate to our love for the art. Right. So we have rotating artists all the time, mostly concentrated on pop art, because we love the colors and the vibrancy of, you know, what they do with their medium. So as you see when you come in, all the different colors.
Some Andy Warhol-esque and, you know, Keith Haring.
Just
real cool stuff.
Yeah, really stuff. So we wanted to create that environment when you came in, it was uplifting.
Yes.
So going from COVID, where everything was just, it was hard.
Right.
What news is going to drop today?
Right.
We wanted a place that you came into and it was almost like a little bit of sunshine. Colors, upbeat music. We have, you know, we do have a flat screen there that's actually framed like a picture, but we're not showing like news or anything. We're showing landscapes, actual displaying of digital art. So yeah, we're pretty proud of what we created. Yeah.
So I just want to say, cool glasses, by the way.
Thank you.
You know, yeah, just really, really cool. I really like them. It's a beautiful environment, very positive, very uplifting, and it's pretty much what our show is all about, right?
Yes.
You know, cultural diversity in foods, finding out about people and, you know, the different sort of cultures, and we can't wait, you know, to talk to Christian and to, you know, your mother-in-law as well. You know, so today, tell us a little something about exactly what it is that we will be cooking, because I know you have a variety of empanadas, and we're not going to cook all of them.
Yeah, we make the traditional cheese empanada, beef, chicken, spinach and cheese, and shrimp and cheese. But then being here in, obviously the United States, but being here in Bergen County, we wanted to, not a lot of people were familiar with empanadas, so we wanted to bridge the gap and introduce some ingredients that they were familiar with that they would be likely to try. So we dropped in we had the caprese, which is like a caprese salad, tomato, mozzarella, and basil. And then we introduced the barbecue beef brisket. So who doesn't know barbecue beef brisket? So it's smoked brisket with mozzarella cheese. And it's literally like having barbecue in one bite. And then recently we just introduced our Pat Lafritta bacon cheeseburger. So Pat Lafritta is a premium meat distributor. He's actually located in New Jersey on Tunnelly Avenue.
Jersey City.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good.
He is our partner in, like distributing partner in Querico, where we exclusively buy all Pat Lafritta products. So we use that chopped meat here with the bacon and the cheddar cheese, American cheese. And how can you not like a bacon cheeseburger also in one bite? And then the last thing we just introduced, the apple pie.
Wow.
So it's an apple pie empanada. Apple pie empanada.
Wow,
so we do all the apples with the cinnamon and the sugar. And yeah, it's
you
delicious.
Got something for everybody.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I think you do.
And soon we'll have something for the gluten-free.
Oh, okay.
So our partners, you know, our working partners in Argentina that we import our discs from, we contacted them with the issue. I said, you know, where we are, we have a lot of requests for people with gluten-free allergies. So they sent us some samples of a few of the discs they have, and I think we chose one. And within the next few weeks, we'll be offering gluten-free options.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. You know, I couldn't help but notice when I got in here that you got a little sous chef here.
Yes,
right. Rocco, your son. So how old is Rocco?
So Rocco is 9 years old. His birthday was last week. He's currently in 3rd grade at Eastbrook.
Okay, cool.
And it's definitely odd going back to a school that you used to attend to back in the 80s.
Yeah, so that's really great. So he's definitely learning from the best, and it's really awesome to see that.
He loves to cook with his grandmother. Her nickname is Abu, meaning abuela. But when he was younger, he couldn't say abuela, so he called her Abu. And so not only here, but even when he comes into New York with me, he is down in the kitchen with her, making empanadas, making arepas, making ceviche. Yeah,
right.
That's pretty talented.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you're obviously a really successful, restaurateur, entrepreneur. I mean, you've done, the best. And I know. Let's talk for a little bit about your restaurant in the city. So Que Rico's, right?
Yes.
Which is a South American steakhouse.
Yes.
And actually was rated number 14 out of.
Yeah.
Tell us.
It's right now. I think we're 14 or 15 out of 11,000 restaurants in TripAdvisor.
That's freaking amazing.
Yeah, we have almost 4,000 reviews.
So how do you do that? I mean, first of all, how long has the restaurant been in business?
Okay.
And how have you been able to get to that top, 15 spot?
So our restaurant, we've been in business now 7.5 years. I think this December will be our 8th year anniversary. How we got to the top spot was we kept it simple. We don't change our menu. There's no specials. We do the same thing over and over and over, and we source the best ingredients. So like I said before, we get our meat from Pat Lafritta. I personally feel he is the best in the business and consistent. All our vegetables we source as locally from New York State and New Jersey as much as we can. With COVID, you have to be very flexible with what is available. And the size of the restaurant. It's not a large place. So inside we have about 75 to 80 seats.
How many employees do you have, if you don't mind?
So employees, off the top of my head, probably around 20, maybe a little less, like 16. But my kitchen is 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 4 people. My mother-in-law being one, and they're a very close-knit team where they're their own executive chef in their own department. So I don't have an executive chef looking out after them. They're the best at their individual
So you
spot.
hired the best to do the best.
Yes.
Right.
So Que Rico is going to be 8 years old. And
Fantastic.
like I said, the size of what helps us make it the best, because we're able to control that environment. Like I said, about 75 to 80 seats inside. We have a rear back garden, which is not normal in Midtown Manhattan. That can seat up to 25 to 30 people. And that smaller environment allows myself and Chris to be there. One of us is there every single night, and it allows us to control the environment and to make sure that somebody is having the best experience.
Right.
We get to know our clients, we get to know what they like, what their interpretation of rare, medium rare plus is, because sometimes, people don't understand actually what the meat is supposed to be like. So this way we go to the table, we show you all the cuts of meat in the raw.
Okay.
We display, and then we explain what the temperatures are.
So you do this before
you order.
That's
so
amazing.
we do the meat
so this
display.
was quite an immersion experience. I mean, it's an education, as well.
People enjoy that. They're part of the process. They actually get to select their steak.
Right. Well, I've got a 25th wedding anniversary coming up, so I
Perfect.
think I found a place. Don't tell my wife. But so really exciting. So thank you so much for sharing. You also you've got a bar too called the Ritz, right? That's also
we have
in Manhattan as well.
We have
right?
a nice bar called the Ritz. It's an LGBTQ establishment. It's on Restaurant Row, which is 46 in between 8th and 9th. And it's been there we've had it for 16 years now.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. It's good. All right, so today we're going to concentrate on
some empanadas.
right?
We're going to make a couple empanadas, and then we're going to show our Cuban sandwich. And the reason why I would love to show the Cuban sandwich is I've done so much research down in Miami, Little Havana, going up to Wynwood, South Beach. I've eaten probably hundreds of Cuban sandwich. I'm like the pizza guy for Cuban sandwiches.
Yeah.
And taking all the little bits of information that I think make that particular sandwich that I've tasted better, and I tried to combine all that into what we have here.
So that's awesome. So we're actually going to ask you to do a little interview with your best friend.
Okay.
Right. Your partner here, Christian Tano, and just kind of tell us a little something about the working relationship and how your partnership developed.
Yep.
Really. Now, do you guys ever fight?
Never. Yeah. I mean, you have to understand, we have two businesses together.
Yeah.
We've known each other for 41 years.
Longer than your marriages, right? Your wives,
And, we're like beyond brothers, you know what I mean? And of course,
it's amazing.
But the cool part about that is when we don't see eye to eye or something, or we have a disagreement, let's just say the healing process is a lot quicker than people who aren't so close.
Right.
And I'm very fortunate to have, not a lot of people can say they've had a close friend that many years.
So he's your best friend, basically.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's awesome, because not only
best
that,
friend, doctor, psychologist.
There you go.
Yeah.
And we do another show called Well-Being, and that's for another day. But so I mean, I gotta commend you guys, because not a lot of men have a friend for such a long period of time. So we'll just have Christian come, and you guys will talk.
Awesome.
All right?
Yeah.
All right. Good. Thank
you
you so much. This is awesome.
My pleasure.
Right?
Thanks for coming.
Good. You're welcome.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, Tom.
Well, Chris wasn't on camera before. This is my partner, Christian Tano. And
Nice to meet you, Park Ridge.
We met each other on the first day of kindergarten at Eastbrook Elementary School in 1980, right?
1980.
1980.
We were 5 years old.
Yeah. So we've now been friends for 41 years.
Now they know how old we are.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. We get older. Pop Empanada, where we are now, where we're doing this, is like a true collaboration of lots of ideas and thoughts and lots of wine of a lot of things that we've done. And Chris has traveled so many countries. How many has it been?
27 about. A lot of travel throughout Latin America. While I was in college, I had the opportunity to study in Argentina, and it didn't take me too long to figure out that aside from the beef there, the wonderful beef that they have there, their national dish is basically empanadas. So, I would be, all hungover in the morning, going out to buy a notebook or something at the, stationery store, and I'd see empanadas on the counter there. And I'm like, empanadas in a stationery store? And they're like, sí, estos son nuestros empanadas. And they would be so proud that they were selling their family's empanadas in their family store, even though it wasn't even a restaurant. So, through the travels, I became really passionate about Latin cuisine and, basically just cuisines around the world. And, Tom and I have known each other so long, we have a lot of this very similar passions. And, we've done a lot of that traveling together too. And as Tom mentioned in the earlier segment, my wife is from Peru. So, we travel down there to visit her family pretty often. And Peru is really like the epicenter of Latin cuisine, or cuisine in Latin America. I mean, they have 3 out of 5 of the top 50 restaurants in Latin America right there in Lima, which I've visited. So, Tom and I kind of pull things from, remember that place that we went to in Panama? Maybe we should add that kind of flavor in this empanada or this dish that we're doing at Que Rico. So, I think it's really what we're doing here at Pop and what we're doing at Que Rico is a culmination of our collaborative experiences.
Yeah, I think one of the funny things that we took where we were in Panama, Chris and I also, do some business in Panama. what's it called? La Posta?
Yeah.
La Posta. So it's a really cool restaurant that we just walked to, and it had like a very, would you say, Italian Tuscan with a tropic mixed in vibe.
Yeah, and it was a house that was converted into a restaurant, and it was really open, and it had these beautiful ceiling fans and these big banana leaves,
Like
it
a
was just-
Casablanca movie.
Yeah, it was really like being in a movie.
We stole, and I'll go on camera and say, we stole their tres leches. It was literally the best tres leche cake I've ever had in my life. And it's one of my favorite dishes. And I literally took one bite and I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
We ordered another one.
Do this.
So while, then later on, fast forward years, and we started doing Que Rico, I said, I have an idea. When our next trip back to Panama, let's go get this tres leche cake. So we went down and we got it and whatever. So we duplicated it. So now at Que Rico and here at Pop, we have the same tres leche cake.
Yeah. It doesn't really get smaller for a small business than what we have here and what we have at Que Rico. It's just two guys, along with our staff who we love and they're, like part of the family, but it's really a small business, and I think that's why we're successful, because of that personal touch.
And the help of our wives.
And the help of our wives, of course.
That's a major thing.
So people definitely realize and appreciate that personal touch. Like when we go and we do that meat presentation, they don't get that everywhere, and they don't usually get to engage with the owner. So many restaurants, they're part of a huge corporation, and it's just they don't get that type of attention. But when you come to a business as small as Pop or as small as Que Rico, you can kind of feel the passion and the love that the owners have for the place, and that's displayed by the owners being present there. And we're here or there every day, and we love what we do, and it's a grind, but we're happy with the result that we're getting, and it's all worth it when you hear those customers saying, "Oh man, this is the best steak I've had in my life. Really, this is the best steak I have." I said, "Oh, thanks for telling me. But don't forget to tell TripAdvisor."
Just yesterday, for our barbecue beef brisket and our Cuban sandwich, which we're going to make, we smoke all our stuff right here. So it's not just cooking it. While I was at the restaurant the other night, Chris was here trimming 8 pork shoulders, which is over 100 pounds of pork, probably, about 100 pounds of pork, trimming it and seasoning it and then leaving it, and the same with the brisket. And then when he goes home and I come in from New York, I stop here, I get the smoker ready, I put all the pieces on and get the smoker set, and then come in the morning and wrap, and then there's a process of doing that. So then finally, he did the beginning part, I did that middle part of the smoking, and then the ending part was us sitting here right before I left to go in and he was to go here on the grill, is where we pulled apart all that pork and we pulled apart all that brisket and then mixed it and got it ready. So, that's what, going back to your original comment, that we are just two guys doing it, and we put a lot of heart into it. And, the success part, I feel, is a byproduct of, the sweat and the hours that we devote to what we do.
Yeah, and when you taste that pork that's been on the smoker for 12 and a half hours, or the brisket, you can kind of tell that a lot of love and a lot of effort went into it, because we're not just buying a finished product and like packaging it for you, we're actually doing it ourselves. And then, another thing that's great about this is like, I was talking about the rewards earlier, not just compliments on the food, but, there's no better compliment than when I'm at Que Rico and you have these people from Manchester, for example. We get a lot of tourists from all over the world, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we were here 4 years ago, and then we couldn't come back because of COVID, and then we've been saying, oh, we've got to go back to Cairo. It's the best steak we've ever had. And then, you know, they came and like, you know, just talked to him for an hour, you know, but that's, again, what they love, that personal touch, that engagement with the owners. You know, then we look at each other and we're like, okay, good job, you know.
I literally asked them, you know, like Chris said, you know, we just last night we had a family from New Zealand come, and they were there, I think maybe the first year we were open, and then the third year. Every time they come back to New York City, that's the first dinner they schedule. And now that I recognize them, I'm so happy to see them back. But one of the questions I ask, hey, is everything good? Is everything the same? Are you enjoying it? And what I like the most is when they tell me, oh, it's just even a little bit better.
Yeah, so we've got customers from all over the world. Now we're looking at you, Park Ridge. Got to come into the city and see us.
Or come here, Pop Empanada.
Yeah, or come here, Pop Empanada, right down the road. You know, with regards to the city, you know, it's starting to get back to normal now. You know, there's more parking. We've got a parking lot right around the corner. So we'd love to see your lovely Park Ridge faces in there when you're looking for a great steak dinner.
And also here in New Jersey, with summer coming up, people outside, picnics, pool events, 4th of July, Memorial Day, Labor Day, we obviously do large catering, trays of empanadas. We do bite-size Cuban sandwiches, and we're also offering, we do birthday parties for kids. We threw a local girl had her 9-year-old birthday party here, where we conform the restaurant into where you design your own apron, you make your own empanadas, we cook them for you, you enjoy them, you make another one to bring home.
A lot of fun.
It gives you that fun birthday, but with a little bit of culinary education.
Yeah, and we're really flexible on things too, like especially with regards to catering. If you wanted us to do a big party or a wedding or something, you know, obviously you could select from our regular menu, but as Tom was saying, we could make, you know, smaller bite-sized ones, or we could, you know, we could come up with anything. You know,
this is the hard promotion part.
We don't have to get approval from corporate, right? We make the decisions here, and whatever we have to do to make our customers happy, for the most part, we're willing to do.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
All right, so Tommy, it's really good. You've got the secret sauce that we talked about here, right? Your mother-in-law, Irene, you want to introduce her?
Yeah, so this is my mother-in-law, Irene. She was born and raised in Chile, in Santiago, and then mostly in the family split time between Santiago and the south, a town called Villa Prat. Kind of like how people, you know, live in Park Ridge, but have another home down by the Jersey Shore or something. Right. But Villa Prat is more of country though, farming, a lot of farming, some cattle and so forth. Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So welcome. Just really good to have you. So today we're gonna look at empanadas, a variety of empanadas. You're cooking chicken.
So we're gonna do a beef empanada,
okay,
which is very traditional.
Okay.
And then I thought we'd do the spinach and cheese empanada,
okay,
because it's rolled in a totally different shape.
Okay.
So then this way you can see a traditional and something a little. It's traditional spinach way, but it's different shape.
Good. So I mean, I really love cultures, right? And it's exciting to hear about Chile. I haven't gone there yet, but I will. It's on the bucket list. But I have to make a comparison. So I'm originally from South America, you guys know from previous shows, and we do something called a beef patty, which is a little similar to this, right? But what's the difference between a beef patty, which is like most of you guys would probably relate to as Jamaican beef patties, right? Yeah. And an empanada before we get started.
So Jamaican beef patty, which are good. I don't want to,
of course,
get any haters.
Amazing. But there is, difference. Yeah.
It's totally different. It doesn't have a lot of onion in it. It doesn't have a lot of spice. It's a little bit on the, I would say, a drier side. And the actual casing, they use a different disc.
Okay.
It's a larger disc, and it's a different ingredients. And with the Jamaican beef patties, sometimes they basically bake them.
And these are fried.
These are fried.
So that's complete. So obviously that's the huge.
It's completely
biggest difference.
different.
Yeah.
And it's traditional way, what they do in Chile and Argentina is they bake them. And they're actually quite beautiful. The way they roll the dough, they get brushed with butter, so it has a nice shine to it.
Right.
We started off with the fried empanadas here at Pop. Eventually, we'll start introducing the baked, but we have to get everybody up to speed, because when you bake that empanada, it's got to be sold, and if it's not sold, it goes into the trash. So to cut back on waste until we start to get the demand up for that baked empanada, this is what we focus on, is the fried.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. So let's get started. So what's the first thing?
Okay, so you want to start with the beef?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exciting.
So we're going to start with the beef empanada.
Yeah.
So how Irene does it, if you watch, we take the discs and we use 2 discs.
Two. Sí, por beef. Porque
So what's in the disc? What is it made of?
So the disc is it's a flour disc.
Okay.
Like we said before, we're going to work on getting a gluten-free one. So yes, it's a flour-based disc. So traditionally what she does is in our beef mix that she's going to be doing, it's Black Angus ground beef, okay? It has a lot of onions in it. The onions and the beef are, they start off being cooked separately. The beef is cooked and spiced and everything on its own, okay? And then the onions are cooked and, go ahead.
Okay.
Are cooked by themselves, and then they're introduced at the end, because if you did it together, she puts a little bit of a hard-boiled egg into it,
this is
Olives, right?
onion,
Okay.
yeah.
black olives. So yeah, just hold it here.
Okay.
So we get a lot of requests from people on how much black olive. There's only 3 pieces. And now she seals it, and the beef gets done in a very traditional folding pattern.
Wow.
this.
Beautiful.
And as you can tell, she's a pro.
So is the disc homemade? You guys make the
No,
disc?
so
Okay.
these discs we have imported from Argentina.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow, that's
Because
fantastic.
I don't want to give the Argentinians too much credit
No,
on
well,
anything.
We love the Argentinians. We do. But that's amazing. Beautiful.
So let's make another one.
One more?
Yeah. And in the beef,
This is the most important. Merken.
so mercan is a spice that we go into the beef. It's made from a pepper called the horn of the goat, and it's actually grown on my mother-in-law's family's farm.
Really?
And what they do is they have a lot of farm. A lot of the peppers they grow go to companies that make salsas and sauce and everything. So they keep about 25% of their yield, and they dry these peppers in the sun. Then they put them in racks and roll them into these giant smoke rooms, and they smoke these peppers. They bring it out, and then they pulverize it and mix it with some other seasoning of like salt, and you get this smoky chipotle spice. And what it does is it really brings out and shines a spotlight on the meat flavor. And people don't know what it is, but they know they like it.
That's amazing. What is the hottest pepper in Chile? Because we did a show several episodes back which we focused on just like hot peppers. I think habanero was one of them, one of the hottest peppers in the world. Is this one of the hottest peppers?
So no, not really.
Okay.
It's not really a hot pepper. This isn't like a spicy type pepper. It's more used for the body of the peppery taste and the smoke.
Gotcha.
So when you taste it, it's not spicy. It's a strong peppery.
More flavorful.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that goes into the beef along with the onions. And want to do one more?
Yes.
Yeah, one more.
One more.
That's our secret ingredient into our beef and our chicken. And going back to why we cook the meat and the onions separately is because the onion, when you cook it, puts out a lot of water, a lot of liquid. So if you cook it together, it would actually wash a lot of the flavor off the meat when you had to drain it, because you can't put that liquidy solution into the empanada. So you cook them separate, and before the onions are introduced to the meat, they're strained. So you have to sit there and strain each one and get all the water out, and then add it, and then add it.
So I noticed that you're doubling. You do a double.
Yes.
Sort of base, right?
This is
That's
for-
sort of.
Big.
So we can go bigger. So the double a disc allows us to
This is one is
push the
small.
empanada a little
Gotcha.
bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
Only
Makes
this
sense.
is one is small.
Okay.
The two is
Bigger.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it also gives us a little bit more like durability, so we don't have to worry about it ripping, and having waste.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And we
Makes sense.
save by using 2 discs instead of 1.
So I know you fry this. How hot is the oil have to be? And we're going to get into that. But
So the oil we use pure vegetable canola oil. It's not a blend. It's not a high temperature mixture oil where they add in like cottonseed and stuff like that. It's pure canola oil. And we actually change our oil here twice a week because pure canola oil actually adds to the flavor of the empanada. We cook it at a temperature of 350 degrees, and we use digital thermometers to maintain the temperature. The reason, if you're too low, the empanada takes too long to cook, and it doesn't cook properly. Like the inside would cook a little more than the outside. Now, on the flip side, if you go too hot, you actually damage the crust, and it'll look like it's done, but it didn't give it enough time for the inside to cook. So you have to have that balance between where you get that nice brown, crispy crust, and then the interior is cooked all the way through.
so how long you cook it for? Like 10 minutes, 15 minutes? Like you drop
4
it in
minutes.
Yeah.
That's pretty quick.
So, and everybody knows, 4 minutes in there, but it takes a little work. There was a lot of going back and forth because each fryer is calibrated differently. And so we had to work on, where we are at. So we have to play with the dials.
Precise, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So yes, these are the very traditional beef empanadas.
Awesome.
So now what we'll do is,
Excuse me, this is a cacho de cabra. Name.
that's what it is. Can you say it? I can't say it.
So what's the
the
name
name
of
of the pepper is called
Cacho de cabra.
cacha de cabra, meaning horn of the goat, because the pepper looks like the horn of a goat.
Yeah.
Yes. All right.
So I know that you mentioned that there's a picture of it in your art gallery, which we might get a chance to focus on and see exactly what it looks like.
Yes. Yes.
Cool.
Okay. So now we'll switch over to the spinach.
All right. All right. So for those non-meat eaters, right? So we do have,
So for the non-meat eaters here at Pop, we have spinach and cheese, and we have the traditional cheese. And then we also have the caprese, which is the tomato, mozzarella, and basil. Okay, so if you're vegan and you don't like cheese, well, I can't do anything for you on that one. Not yet, at least.
well, they'll go to, maybe the Rico, in
Well,
the
come
city,
to K
right?
Rico,
Yeah,
we could
K
definitely
Rico's,
do
right?
something for you there. So now the difference with the spinach, it's fresh baby green spinach that gets steamed. And then we mix that in with mozzarella cheese, red pepper, a little bit of Parmesan, pecorino or Romano, and that gets all mixed up. And you'll see now, this is the traditional empanada shape, that half moon. The spinach goes totally different than everybody else. It's not even the same shape. It has its own form, as you'll see.
So the shapes is this like universal? Like, so if I went to Chile, I would see the same sort of shape, or is this something that you guys...
Yes and no. I mean, it's just whatever family style it is.
Gotcha.
This is how Irene's family does the spinach and cheese empanada. So you basically make that empanada,
There you go.
and I always kid around, and I tell everybody it looks like a wonton.
Yeah, it does.
Right?
A very big one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so sometimes people get this, and they order a Spanish cheese empanada. They get it. Well, I ordered an empanada, and I said, well, it is. But
so
this is
cool.
the traditional way that how she grew up making the spinach and cheese, how they did the beef. The chicken has always really been one whole, and then everything else, we kind of made it up ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Now, you had mentioned that the family has restaurants back in Chile.
Yes.
They're still operational? Or?
Yeah. So my father-in-law has empanada places in the north of Chile in the desert called in Calama. So Calama is located on the Bolivian-Peruvian border. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's all the way up right where I have a picture in my restaurant in New York in the area called Moon Valley. It's the driest place on earth.
Are you kidding?
So it's where they did a lot of like moon movie filming, or where they did some of the James Bond stuff.
Right.
And a lot of astronomers go there because it's so dry and so dark and so flat, and it gives you an amazing view of the stars and a lot of things. So that's where his place is. And
so what's the name of the place again?
His empanada place is called Cafe Florencia.
Okay.
And
it's located
in Calama. And he strategically opened up in Calama because that's where the desert is, but that's where all the mines are, where they mine for gold and bauxite and everything. So you have these giant mining operations. What does the working man and a working person need is lunch. Right. So he services all these big operations. That's how he grew his business.
So you guys have North America covered, you got South America covered. Unbelievable.
Yeah. We just got to make our way to Europe and we should be good.
You're on your way. That's for the next generation, right?
Yes, that will be Rocco's generation.
There you go. So look, I looked at I saw you interview your partner, and one of the things that stood out to me was, the tattoos are amazing. Both of your arms. So I wanted to ask, who got their first tattoo, And,
well, We've got like little small ones, but when Chris and I actually got serious about the art and everything, I found an artist who actually Chris and I really became good friends with, a gentleman by the name of Adam Hayes, and he opened up Red Rocket Tattoo in Manhattan, right in Sheridan Square by Macy's, and I had went and got this piece done. And
so is there a meaning to this piece? Or
it's a girl like Day of the Dead, holding a rose, blowing flowers down, and apparently the petals decay, and it's caught by, I guess, a skeleton or something. Now, there's no meaning. Like, I didn't say, oh, this is what I want. The gentleman Adam is a very good artist, and he comes up with these beautiful pieces, and he showed me, I'm looking, and I'm like, I like it. So I literally purchased art and just had it
amazing
printed onto my arm. And then he did this over here, which is a giant Indian chief skull with a headdress, and all the feathers come down here, and he did some
it almost looks like a Maori.
Yeah, he did some native, blanket patterns. That's what he took it on. And then he did an arrowhead, and he put in this Indian princess, which I tell my wife, baby, it's you, you know? But this is not some ex-girlfriend or anything. So, and then he did my whole back. He came up with this wild thing. It's a giant alligator coming through some weeds and very detailed. So Chris and Adam collaborated on his pieces where Chris was more involved. I was kind of like, I like it, let's do it. Seeing, as Chris explained before, he's traveled all through Latin America and lived there. And so when he designed, Adam did all the art, but Chris played a role where he basically did all the layout and all the figures, and he added some Mayan things along with some Colombian and throughout all his travels. And he collaborated with him and did this custom sleeve. So it's funny, when we started going down, we travel a lot. When we started in Costa Rica, and then after we were pretty heavily inked up, we were in Panama. And down in that part of Central America, there's not a lot of people with this amount of ink on them. And we would be at like the pool at the place that we're staying at, and they said, what's going on here? Who are these two gringos covered in ink, staying at this hotel in this pool?
So you became the talk of
People
the town.
thought we were some pretty serious dudes. When they found out, I said, no, we're just buddies from kindergarten, and we're in the restaurant business. And they were like, oh, okay, so that's how it came to be.
That's fantastic. I gotta give you a compliment. You and Chris, you guys are very smart. You thanked your wives. Hey. So that wasn't like, these guys are smart.
Yeah, that wasn't a quick plug. I mean, our wives play a serious role with the influences of what we do here. With what Chris's wife Eliana brings with her, she has great knowledge about Peruvian culture and design and ideas, and that blended in with my wife Pia's Chilean influence from her mom and her dad and her family and growing up in the South. Literally, yes, of course, Chris and I have our own ideas, but we kind of worked as like a conductor of blending everything together and then using our resources, like my mother-in-law and her talents. That's, I could say, they're all amazing at what they do. If we could say what Chris and I are good at, we were good at being able to weave this fiber of the pattern.
Yeah, amazing. So, one of the things you mentioned, Panama, right? Now, empanadas, is that something that's also popular throughout, all these?
Every country has its own version or style of empanada.
Really?
Yes. I mean, Chris could tell you in detail, the Argentinians have their way, and the Chileans have their way, and the Peruvians do it their way. And of course, if you're there, theirs is the best, is better than theirs, and they'll tell you why, And that, I guess that's what makes Chris and I good at what we do, because the Chileans are the Chileans and the Peruvians are the Peruvians, and the wives get together, they're best friends, but the minute the Chileans are playing the Peruvians in soccer, like, we can't put the two together. They're like beta fish.
That's it. Right. That's amazing.
But yes, everybody has their own style, and even taken away from being in a particular country like Colombia or Chile or Argentina, each family has their own style. And
not to cut you off, I was just thinking it'd be interesting to know what the history of that, empanadas are. Where did that? Because it seems to be a staple throughout all of the Spanish countries.
And they're very proud of it. Like Chris said before, when he was in Argentina and at a stationery store, that family that owned that stationery store, which had nothing to do with food, they made their empanadas because they wanted you to taste how well their family did it.
So it's a national cultural dish in all of these different countries, which is amazing.
Yeah.
All right. So on What's Cooking, you can we talk about food, but we also talk about inking on your body. So well, right?
Yeah.
We got quite an education.
Yeah. So here, once again, just to recap, you have your traditional beef empanada done with the braiding, which tells you that it's the beef, and then our spinach and cheese with pepper empanada done in this way, where it's, like I said before, it looks like a wonton. But now when you come to pop. We label, obviously, every bag, but when you pick it up, you'll start to know when you come here every day, like everybody should, you'll know which empanada is which. You'll get used to it.
So the next thing, what's the next step?
All right. So the next step on this is literally whatever tray it is gets filled up, and then we put it in our cooler, get ready to serve for the day. Then when the order comes in, This empanada is taken, and then we put it in our fryer basket, and it's fried for 4 minutes in the canola oil, like I told you. We take them out. We let them sit for about a minute or two, and that allows the excess oil to dry off. And by doing that, you'll know we're not just putting it in the bag and then it would be technically greasy. This way, our discs and the crust is nice and crispy and flaky and light.
Nice.
Most importantly, light. Yeah.
So how many of these a day do you would you say you make for in a restaurant?
I mean, how many do I make and how many would I like to make?
That's awesome.
You know, we make, each tray is what, 25? No.
Dice 50.
Okay. So 50. So I would say we make about 500 or 600 empanadas a day.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
And that takes you
Yeah.
several hours, I'm sure, right?
Right when they
It's a
come in,
constant,
it's
yeah.
constantly.
Yeah.
And while we're serving and some are going out, they keep
Yeah.
backfilling and backfilling.
So what are your
backfilling.
hours of operation here?
So we're open here from 11 a.m.
Okay.
Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 11 till 9. Friday and Saturday we stay open till 10.
Okay.
I would like to expand the Friday and Saturday just because there's no late night dining option, and coming from Hell's Kitchen, where I could go and have Korean barbecue at 4 o'clock in the morning or sushi down at Blue Ribbon at any time. I just would love to see a later night dining option.
Yeah. Well, Park Ridge is very different in Manhattan.
Just
right?
a little bit.
All right, so we are in the kitchen.
Yes.
So you're gonna show us how to make this amazing Cuban sandwich, right?
Yes,
And
we're
then
gonna-
we're gonna fry the empanadas.
Okay, so real quick, our Cuban sandwich, one of the main ingredients starts with our pork that we do on our smoker for 12 hours under applewood. This is actual pork that we did last night. So what we do is, I portioned it out already. We're gonna get this grilled quick on our flat top. All right. So we get that going. I always put a little bit of clarified butter on top, just a little. Okay.
Now, what is clarified butter? I mean,
So
for
it's
those,
basically when we melt it down, we take a little bit of the cream out of it.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
while that's going, what I do is I get our bread ready. I take off either end. Okay.
So now this is Italian bread, French bread. What kind of bread are we?
So-
for those who may want to,
Yeah.
imitate this at home.
So we get all our bread from Rockland Bakery, just because we're so close.
Oh my gosh!
You know,
Yeah.
and you got to be as close to the source as possible. So
Yes,
it's delivered fresh every single day.
Amazing.
Have they listed? They obviously listed as the hero roll.
Yes, yeah.
But it's like a small French baguette.
Yeah.
So with the Cuban sandwich, you do mayonnaise. Okay. On both sides of the bread. Yeah. What we do is we bring it down and back. Get a nice even spread. Okay. Next, we use yellow mustard. Okay. Down and back. Not a lot. We put like a little bump there. We bring it down and back. Okay. So now our bread is ready. So we come over here to our pork.
Now, where did you you learn this recipe? Like in Cuba? Where did you kind of pick it up and master it?
So the Cuban sandwich obviously it's weird, it doesn't come from Cuba. The Cuban sandwich was invented in Miami by Cuban immigrants using the stuff that they had that was there. I love the sandwich, and I always kind of made it on my own. And when I would go down to Miami a lot, or over to North Bergen and West New York area where there's a lot of people that make it there, I kind of cherry picked. I guess that's a nice way of saying stole a little bit of this and a little bit of that.
Yes.
On what they did. And one thing I noticed that they didn't do, no one really smoked their pork. They usually did it in the oven, they roasted it, and which is good, but I felt that I could get more flavor out of it by slow smoking it and rubbing it and doing that to really bring out, because pork actually doesn't have a lot of flavor, it's what you put into it. So the actual pork shoulder is rubbed with brown sugar, salt, pepper, garlic salt, and then we do like a little bit of the mercan, which we spoke about on top of that, and we trim it obviously, and then it goes on for about 12 hours. So where I, by visiting a whole bunch of different famous Cuban sandwich places, from Versailles in Little Havana to Sandwich, which claims they have them, I took little things that everybody did and to enhance kind of what I was doing. So now that I have the pork at the right temperature, I take my sizzle dish, the bottom piece of my bread, all right, and then I evenly put it onto my bread. There we go. Okay, so now I have the bottom part of the
Delicious.
Cuban.
That looks amazing.
Right?
It looks amazing.
So the next thing we add is the ham. So we do about 4 slices of ham.
Okay.
And we just, come back a little bit, add the next slice. Come back a little bit, add the next slice. Give me a nice. This way we have the coverage. Okay. My favorite part is the pickles. We use a dill pickle chip. Okay. And what I do is basically pickle down the spine of the sandwich. Okay. And some people don't like pickles. I love it, so I'm going to put a little extra in because I'm making it. All right. And the final ingredient is the Swiss cheese.
Sure.
So we do the same kind of thing we did with the ham. We start here. We step it back a little bit. And then a third piece to give us that coverage.
Amazing.
Okay. So one of the things, a lot of people go then right to the sandwich press. What I like to do is then use the charbroiler, like a cheese melter. We go in here, and what that does is, besides melting the cheese, it gets it going. It starts the process. So then when we move to the actual sandwich press, I'm not holding it there too long to try to melt the cheese in the middle.
It's already kind of started.
So I don't over toast the bread. So sometimes when you go to a place, the bread is too crispy because they did that to compensate to melt the cheese. This way, we get a little bit of crisp and we keep a little of the softness of the bread. Once again, some people may like it. I personally feel that it tastes better that way. People are starting to agree. So, yeah, it should go relatively quick. So once that comes out, we're going to assemble this top piece, and then I have a silicone brush here, and I actually paint the top piece of the bread right before it goes in. And then we press it, we wait a little bit, we lift it up, we paint it one more time, press it again, and then when we move back here is when we package it up.
Amazing.
So here we go. We came
that
out.
Looks amazing.
All right, now we put our top on. We come right here.
So
Use
clarified
the
butter.
We give it a nice painting.
We're gonna need to go for a run after this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So we're gonna slowly move over here. This is our sandwich press. All right, as you can see, it's very hot.
Yeah.
We slide this onto here. Nice. All right.
You can see that, right?
We come down. All right. If it isn't sizzling or smoking, it's not working. Put this back up here.
Beautiful.
So sometimes it doesn't stick.
So
Okay,
amazing.
great. Then what we do is see how it.
So this is obviously a commercial version of the panini press. Right?
Panini
'Cause
press.
That was all the rage.
Yes.
At one time, right? Everybody had a panini press in their house.
Without the grooves, though. Without the grooves. So what we'll do here, we use a sheet of wax paper. All right. And you don't want to burn the bread. You
Okay.
just want to lightly toast it.
Amazing.
All right. So now you take all this deliciousness.
Amazing. Look at that. Incredible. So I'm going to ask a question of you that I think I ask pretty much everybody that
Yeah.
cooks. Now, when do you cook at home or
I
are
do.
you pretty much? Oh, you do.
I do.
Okay.
Lately, I haven't been. Obviously, during the pandemic, it got me cooking back at home. You know, a lot of restaurant people say the last thing I do when I get home is when I keep cooking.
Yeah.
But finally, when I get home and, you know, time to relax, get out of the suit from the restaurant because I'm on the floor. I wear a suit every day.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Okay.
I get out of the suit and, you know, we have everything ready and, you know, open up a bottle of wine, and it's almost like a way to, you know, bring it down a little bit. The therapeutic of cooking and having a glass of wine and catching up with my son from what happened at school or, you know, or with Pia. You know, sometimes during the week I get home a little late.
Sure.
But I make a point to make some of those early days.
So how do you de-stress? I mean, 'cause you've got long days. You've got several restaurants. You know, there's a lot. You're a business head. Obviously, you're a chef.
Yeah.
How do you center?
So, you know, it catches up. So you have to play the game of balance, and sometimes you neglect like working out or doing yoga or something like that, and you focus so much, and you have to put yourself back in check to do some more of that like me stuff. And you know, the de-stress is mostly when I spend time with the family or take my son to go to the batting cages or
right?
something completely different than what I usually do.
It's good. It's good.
So now we're done. Sandwich is wrapped. The Cuban is cut on an angle.
Awesome.
I've asked everybody.
Why?
Why? Nobody could give
Good
me an
question,
answer.
right? That's pretty
So I'm not gonna break tradition. So we
Nice.
we break it on an angle.
Oh,
And there
my God.
is
Look at that. Look
Your
at
perfect
that.
Cuban sandwich. I don't know if you want to take a
Amazing.
bite on camera.
Well, you know what? Maybe we'll share it with the rest
Okay.
of the group because I don't want to. But that looks.
So
looks
that's our
incredible.
Cuban sandwich. As you can see, the pork, the ham, the pickles, the cheese,
that's perfect.
with the mayo and the mustard and the bread, just nicely evenly toasted, nothing burnt or overcooked.
Wow, I love that. I love that. So one question I did have, right? So do you serve something with the empanadas, like a sauce
Yes.
or something like that? Like,
So with the empanadas, and you can have it with the Cuban sandwiches as well, we make a traditional Chilean salsa called pebre, Pebre. Okay, it's tomato, cilantro, garlic, onion, olive oil, vinegar, and a touch of sriracha and sea salt. And that is basically the thing with the empanadas is when you take that first bite, you know, the top, you use it, it comes in a little cup and you pour a little in and you eat, and you pour a little in and you eat. It's delicious. It's like the Chileans version, I explained, the Argentinians have the chimichurri that they're famous for.
Yeah.
This is their salsa. Here, let me grab this. Thanks, buddy. So this is how it comes for the empanada.
Oh,
You
okay,
pop
gotcha.
the top, and you do a little bit and eat, and a little bit and eat. When you're in Chile, on every table, like here in the U.S., you get bread and butter. Down there, every restaurant, even like high-end restaurants, they put the butter and a bowl of their pevre. So some restaurants, it's a little bit more spicy. Some, it's a little bit more, on the vinegary side. Each one does it their own way.
All right, so Tommy, you're going to show us how to fry these empanadas.
Yes, and luckily we had some orders coming in. So awesome. What we're going to do is, first we're going to make the order that we had come in, which was 3 ham and cheese and 3 bacon cheeseburger, Pat Lafritta bacon cheeseburger empanadas. And as you see, I'm pulling off that little plastic. This is, as you saw when we were making them, that's how we separate them, so they don't stick together and everything breaks clean. As you see, we have all our timers up here. So now we go in to the fry oil, which is at 350 degrees. And what I do sometimes is, right when I put them in, I give them a little shake back and forth so they don't sit on the bottom. We don't want anything to stick. All right, so while these are going, we'll make some of the ones that we made, the spinach and cheese. Okay. We'll do 2 of those. And then in there, we'll put our beef, as you can see, remember with the braiding?
Right.
All right. And then this other beef. All right. And then just for giggles, we'll add 2 nice chickens. 1 and 2. All right, so we'll drop these 2 baskets. We'll click our timer. So it's funny how we have the timers lined up. So each timer is each basket. So this way, if somebody's cooking or helping in the kitchen and a timer goes off, it tells you where it is. Good. And I get mad when they just use any timer and I come and I'm like, where's which?
Yeah, of course.
So sometimes when, when they're very fresh, they come to the top. We take another basket just to keep them submerged in the oil so they cook properly. And like I said before, it takes 4 minutes at 350 degrees in pure canola oil. And that we found is enough timing to properly cook the outer disc and cook the filling throughout. Last thing you want is someone eating an empanada and get to that center bite. It's cold. I don't want that.
I gotta say, Tommy, I'm really impressed at how clean everything is. Your kitchen is very clean.
Thank you.
And that's an indication of the quality that you're doing here. Excellence.
I appreciate that.
Really
yeah,
good.
I mean, like I said, this is our first one. We obviously want to use this as the template to hopefully do others. And everything has to be organized. We have to have the system down and at least get a year or so under our belt where we know what works, what doesn't work, and we make it as efficient as possible.
As we're just kind of talking about all this, now how does a restaurant get rated? Like, for example, in the city, you're saying that you're 14 out of how people come through and eat.
So
and
there's a lot of rating services. Obviously, of Michelin and whatever. They have their own critics that come in.
Okay.
Now, what I like about let's say TripAdvisor, is the fact that it's rated by the people who were there, actual customers. And you can have a restaurant that's so high in the list, but it only has 50 reviews. Now you have somebody like me that's been on the list now for 7.5 years, and we have almost 4,000 reviews. So you have a huge spectrum.
There you go.
And it tells you who the person is, their handle, but where they're from, which country, and it lists how many reviews they've written. So when I get a review from a person, let's say hypothetically from Scandinavia, that's written 200 reviews, that's been to 15 or 16 other countries and has tasted all over the world, I really take what that person
means
says.
a lot more.
Yeah, absolutely. They have, huge insight, and if they say something's off,
And that's your customer, really, right?
That-
You know,
that
that's-
is-
that's who
that
you're
is
dealing
my
with.
customer.
Yeah. Awesome.
So now these are done. See how they come out? As you can see, a nice
Nice and golden.
golden brown, and you can see it's flaky. So what we do is we actually let it sit for a little bit. I don't have my tongs, but I'll do this quick. We put it onto the paper towel here. Now, if you were just to package them right now, it wouldn't be that great because you would still have a lot of oil.
Yeah.
What we do is air.
You have to breathe a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool
So
down.
if you come here to pop and you see me in the window
Yeah.
going like this, you kind of know what I'm doing. I was kidding with Chris. By the end of the summer, I should have huge arms from fanning.
You already did.
Yeah. So what that does is
It's great.
it allows it to dry, and now you have this nice, bubbly,
Yes, gorgeous.
light, crispy empanada. So this order is actually for a customer. So what we're going to do is pack her 3 ham and cheese empanadas and her 3 bacon cheeseburger empanadas. And what we do is like this, and then this is going to go out to Chris there. Here you go, Chris. And then
Awesome.
that's where we go from there. And then here, that's our spinach
Yep.
and chicken. And then this is the finished product of the nice,
Love it.
cool braiding of
Love
the
it.
meat.
Love it.
All right,
All right.
let's enjoy, all right?
Well, so this was an amazing show. You know, I want to thank just you and, you know, your partner, Chris, or your mother-in-law, and, you know, your son. I mean, you guys were amazing. We're just, you know, awestruck that you were able to share with us, you know, what you're doing right here in Pop Empanada, right here in, you know, Park Ridge.
Yeah.
And also, what, you know, you talked about your businesses in New York. We just want to wish you, you know, continued success. And thank you so much. You know.
Yeah, thank you, and we really appreciate you featuring us and helping our business.
Our pleasure.
It truly is a pleasure.
Great, man. Thank you.
Thank you.